Hey everyone, Antonio Giudice here, and today I have the honor of speaking to filmmaker Dheeraj Akolkar. Dheeraj, if I may say, I am so delighted to be talking to you today. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure, absolutely.
And I want to say congratulations on your new film, Liv and Igram. Now, we're going to get to it a little bit more, but before we do, Dheeraj, if you can tell us a little bit about your journey, how you started off that actually led you to making this film.
hmm Well, I started in an architecture school in India, and during the internship, I went to Mumbai to work in the film industry, and I started working in the heart of it, and it's a very exciting place. It's very vibrant, it's very warm, a lot of wonderful people, wonderful artists, and I had really wonderful opportunities. I worked on great films, and then I left because I wanted to work on my cinema. And I started researching and started working, and I had to study cinema. So I came to London. And after my course, I started my own company and started developing projects. So Liv Ingmar was one of those projects really that started in 2007. And then it took some time before I could find the money and the producers and everything in Norway. And then we made the film in 2000, starting in 2011, 2012.
Oh wow! And from everything that you've done, because I mean you've done so much. I think even at some point you were architecting. Dheeraj, when would you say that you actually found your true passion? Like at which moment did you feel that this was something that you really loved?
I think very early on. I was probably 10 or 11.
Oh wow!
Yes. And this is something that I had completely forgotten. I had forgotten this. I did not remember that I used to talk about films and making films when I was that young. But my school friends, my friend who I used to sit with on the same bench, he is in the US now, he's in Boston, and he is married with a family and so on. And he found my brother,
Hmm.
a social networking site, after many years. And he wrote to him, when we were in fifth grade and sixth grade, Dheeraj used to speak about wanting to make films, and he is now making them. So it's actually these people who are close to you,
Yeah.
they they remember things. I had completely forgotten that I used to talk about this. But my mom and dad both are really film lovers, and they showed us very good cinema. So I remember watching a lot of Indian cinema, and remember watching the first cinema that made impression was Dr. Zhivago, David Lean. Yeah. And I think that was kind of the beginning point, because that sensation was immense. It felt like, wow, this is what cinema should be.
Wow.
Yes. And then I remember reading Sir David Lean's biography, which is written by Kevin Brownlaw. I picked it out of the British Library. It's extraordinary. I mean, this journey was fascinating. And slowly I got there. It took some time, but I guess it was required. You need to know what you want to say before you want to make a film.
Oh
Because
wow. Yeah.
there is no point in making a film if you don't have anything to say. This is not some fashion or some kick I have in my head. This is something I really love to do, and this is something I want to do. So.
Oh, absolutely. And so, Dheeraj, what inspired you to make this film, Live in Ingram? I mean,
Mhm.
it's a beautiful project, but what came, what inspired it actually? Yeah.
Well, I think it is Leave's book. Leave has written two books, Changing and Choices, and both I've read, but Changing is one of my most favorite books,
Mm.
her first book. And this she wrote 6 years after she had finished a relationship with Ingmar Bergman. And it's an extraordinary book. It's really, really so beautiful. There is a lot written in the book, but there is a lot unwritten. There is a lot in between the lines. And the book is written with a lot of honesty. It's candid, it's affectionate, it is very, very honest and dignified. And I love that book very much. So that book stayed with me. I read it in 2006 in the house of another legendary documentary filmmaker of India, Zul Belan, who's no more. But it was that book. I met this wonderful, wonderful woman. And I met this extraordinary man through her who had changed her life. And you can sense a lot of love. You can sense what is unspoken. So when Liv asked me years later in 2010, she said, "Why do you want to make this film?" And I started telling her why. She knew that I had seen something that she wanted to say. So I think it was the book, but the actual starting point was 2007 when he passed away. And it was a very sad time because I felt I wanted to meet him, and him and Antonioni passed away in the same couple of days, and it was really, oh my God, two legends, two master filmmakers just passed away. I was searching for something from Liv after his death, hoping that she had said something.
About Ingram.
About Ingmar Bergman.
Right.
And there was nothing really that she had said, and you realize there would be nothing when you love someone so deeply, and when you're so deeply connected, you don't go on talking, about this. And that's when I guess this film just came to me, and I wrote it down as a piece of poetry, which I sent to her later. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And obviously this was a huge project for you, Dheeraj, and I think you probably must have faced some challenges or rejections along the way. What kept you motivated? A little bit, if you can tell us, what were some of those challenges that you came across? And I'm curious to know, like, what kept you motivated and not give up in the middle of it?
I feel that I'll first speak about the challenges. Really, the challenges are being a nobody. That's the first challenge. Because let's face it, if Woody Allen was to make this film, he's very close to Liv. He was very close to Ingmar Bergman. And if Woody Allen was to make this film, he would have made it very fast.
Right.
But then we have to also respect the fact that Woody Allen is Woody Allen because he has also earned it. It is the struggle of many, many years. And when I started even wanting to make films, who was I? I mean, who am I, honestly? So that is the first part of the struggle. People don't respond to your emails. People are not civil. They think you're a wannabe. I guess all the challenges which everybody faces in all the fields, you were treated a little bit like a doormat, and you keep going because this is what you want to do. As I said, this is not some fad. This is not some kick in the head that, oh, I want to make cinema to be famous and to be rich and to be, this is something I really genuinely love to do. So there were days in London, very excruciating, very difficult. And I remember I was working in my college library doing a part-time job, which was a bill-paying job, and people would often laugh in face. There were times when I would say, oh, I'm a filmmaker, there were people who would... there were people who said, oh, you're a failure.
A failure?
You're a failure, straight in my face. And people laugh in your face and people make jokes at your expense. And yes, it hurts. It's not at all easy. Humiliation is it's hurtful, and you wonder why people are saying this but then I guess everybody takes enjoyment in seeing somebody fail because it them feel successful.
That's right.
But you know what? So there were times when coming back home and really, yeah, I remember there were some very difficult nights. But you know where the strength comes from? It comes from your film. Every morning, waking up and writing, or printing the script and keeping it on the table, and you look at it, and there is the energy that comes from that script. When you know what your intentions are, that something gives you power to go on and not give up. And for me, I think giving up is not an option. I mean, if you had to give up, why did you start in the first place?
That's right. That's right.
What is the point in starting a journey thinking, oh, if this doesn't work out, I will give up? But then why are you starting? You are setting yourself up for failing before you started, if you think like that. So if you really do something that you love to do, and it could be anything, film, teaching, social work, craftsmanship, you can be a carpenter, whatever it is that you choose to do, every kind of work is dignified as long as you're not hurting anybody intentionally, If you really love to do that, you must keep going. Giving up is not an option. So, well, there were a lot of rejections in the journey of making this film because it was hard to find producer, it was hard to find somebody who would trust you. And it is quite logical also. I don't blame people. I'm not saying they were wrong in rejecting, because who am I? If tomorrow a filmmaker walks in through my door and says, I want to make this film, okay, what am I going to think as an established producer? Who is this person? And to raise so much money on a project, so it requires time. And it is okay to give that time. Because I really, really genuinely feel this time is your gift. This is the time given to you to work on yourself. This is the time given to you to see what flaws you have, what loopholes you have, to correct them, to become stronger, and not to become bitter with rejection. Rejection is not personal. Rejection can be, I want to choose to do something else. But I feel that you must always, always have this faith that this is going to work. You must, even if nobody has that faith, you must have that faith that this is going to work, and then it will work. I remember saying this to a group of young people in London. They called me to talk to them, and I said, you have to keep knocking on those doors. Sometimes your hands hurt, it turns bloody, it is difficult, and you will have wounds. But you have to keep knocking, because one day, one of those doors opens.
Yeah, and that's a little bit probably how it happened with you, right, Dheeraj? After knocking on doors and producers, how did it happen when you finally got that yes?
I had started by then 3 or 4 different projects. I was working on different things. Of course, this is my baby. This is, I really, really wanted to do this film like any other film. So when the producers said, yes, we would like to do this, I was very happy. And I have to thank a friend of mine, Ragnhild Lund. She's a Norwegian actress and director, whom I met in Edinburgh, Scotland, when I was filming a play there. And she said to me, let me go take this material to Norway and get a meeting for you. And so she kind of became the bridge, and she later worked on the film also, so I have to really, really thank her for that. But when the producers said, yes, we want to do it, they were very no nonsense. And they said, of course, if Liv agrees to do this, then we have to film. Because if she says no, we cannot do it. Okay. So they called up Liv. They know her. So they called her up. And Liv said, no, I'm not going to do it.